Tonight on Newswatch, it's Halloween weekend, but some bone-chilling temperatures could scare away the fun. Forecaster Emily Dietz joins us with more. Plus, law enforcement in Maine and day 3 for the search of a suspect in this week's mass shooting. And high school football playoffs kick off around the 740. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch. I'm Parker Kapronica. High school playoffs are starting up for our local football teams and the stakes are high. Gridiron Glory host Grayson Wolf joins us with a look at tonight's matchups. Grayson, what can we expect to see?
Well, Parker, it's playoff time, and honestly, who's got it better than us? For all high school teams across the state, the message is simple: survive and advance. Winners move on and losers go home, so let me preview all 5 of our Showtime games. Our game of the week is a battle of the Bulldogs. Bloom Carroll comes into this matchup conference champs after Logan Elm had an upset win over Hamilton Township last week. They'll look to carry that momentum into this one tonight. Dylan Armentrout and Ethan Dandanavong are the leaders of the Bloom offense, and Jaden Ball does his part, moving everyone out of the way for them. Athens is also coming into this game with serious momentum, winners of 5 straight games and stealing a win over Nelsonville York last week to finish second in the TVC Ohio. Quarterback Braden Young and running back Alex Pirro are names to watch out for on the Athens offense that'll have to explode and have their best game if they want a chance to move on to Week 12. Speaking of Nelsonville York, they'll host a playoff game tonight. Gavin Richards and the Buckeyes look to rebound after losing their matchups in Week 9 and 10. They're matched up with Bel Air, who beat them in the regional semifinal last year. Don't let the seed fool you. The Big Reds are certainly prepared for this game. It won't be a cakewalk for NY. Vinton County takes their 9-1 record on the road. TJ Culper and the Vikings are the 10 seed in Division 4 Region 15, but these boys will look to make some noise on the legs of Garrett Brown. Galley Academy is their opponent, and that offense is averaging 36 points per game. Kenyon Franklin has a lot to do with that, and he'll look to continue his dominance over Southeast Ohio competition. Speaking of dominating, Cade Wolford of Jackson. The Ironmen should have no problem tonight as they're the 4 seed in Division 3 Region 11 and have a home game. But don't count out the Tigers. Junior Smith and Zane Whittakin are a 2-headed monster in the backfield for Marietta. If they can control the time of possession and keep the ball out of Wolford's hands, you just never know. And finally, it's an OVC battle between Fairland and Portsmouth. Peyton Jackson will be highlighted on the show tonight as we dive into his stellar 2023 campaign. Portsmouth is the heavy underdog, but they played the Dragons earlier in the year. So if they can do what they do well in that game, we could possibly see an upset.
What other fun things does the GG staff have in store for us tonight, Grayson?
Yeah, Parker, no shortage of content. I'll be back taking on digital rundown duties with 4 games. Portsmouth West is the 7th seed in Region 19, and they'll welcome in Heath. Unioto is at home hosting Urbana after locking up the SVC title. Sheridan welcomes in Morgan in a cross-division MVL matchup. And then in Region 27, Waterford hosts Miller. Also on our slate tonight is the reveal of our 5 candidates for Coach of the Year. And then to end the show, I will reveal which players made it off the 14-man list and on to the 8-man list for Gridiron Glory Player of the Year. There's plenty to be excited about, so stay tuned right here on WOUB at 11:30 for episode 11 of Gridiron Glory.
Grayson, thank you for your great work. Temperatures in the U.S. are expected to drop next week, and by Halloween, temps will be below average across much of the country. It could feel like the mid-teens in North Dakota. Even in the south, some areas will only get as high as 58 degrees. Meanwhile, the Great Lakes area could all see snow Tuesday evening, while other areas could get rain. Lead forecaster Emily Dietz joins me now. What should our trick-or-treaters be expecting this Halloween weekend, Emily?
Right, so tonight will be a little bit clear, but going on this weekend, Saturday, we're expecting a little bit of a mist in the early morning and the late evening time. So if you have any Halloween festivities going on in the afternoon time or early evening, you're in luck because we're going to see just some cloudy skies, but the rain should hold off. But unfortunately, Sunday and Monday are looking a bit rainy. But as of right now for tonight, we're just looking at a little bit of cloud coverage starting us off, and then it'll actually clear up a little bit. And then by tomorrow morning, that's when we'll start to see some showers start to pop in just here and there throughout throughout the evening. So right now overnight you can see those clouds start to clear out, and by 9 a.m. that's when you see those little cells of green start to pop in, and that's representing our rain that we're expecting moving forward. And we're going to see a little bit start to develop behind it as well. So we're expecting on and off rain throughout the morning, a little bit of clearing going on in the afternoon. So if you're planning on going to the OU Miami football game that's going on Saturday, you should be fine as far as the rain goes. Maybe just a little bit of a mist, but we aren't expecting any downpours. But by Saturday in the late evening and into the early hours on Sunday, that's when we're going to see a lot more of this rain move through, and I'll dive more into details later on this evening. But for right now, we're seeing overcast skies, and since we've had that rain today, we're really seeing our humidity start to pop up since that rain put a lot more moisture into the atmosphere and into the air around us. So if you've been outside at all this week, you've noticed it's been a bit dry, also really hot, but right now things are getting humid and it's starting to cool down just a little bit. Right now our temperature is about 68, and across the region we're seeing very similar temperatures. So Columbus, Newark, and Lancaster are all at 68. Zanesville's a little bit chillier, about 57, and we're going to continue to see this cooling trend going on. But as far as tonight goes, our temperatures are actually going to be the highest low that we've seen this week. We're going to see an overnight low of about 60 degrees with those mostly cloudy skies starting us off, but by the late evening tonight, early morning tomorrow, that's when we'll start to see them clear up, and then we're expecting some rain in the morning. So be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to look at how this rain is going to impact you and what you can expect for next week. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Emily. The Appalachian Regional Commission is receiving more than $8.9 million to support high-speed internet infrastructure and economic development in communities in Appalachia and Northeast Ohio. Some of the investments include nearly $2.5 million to Morgan County for high-speed internet services and close to $1.4 million to the Appalachian Ohio Manufacturers Coalition to develop the Manufacturing Support Center. One of Ohio Senators, J.D. Vance, is pushing an amendment prohibiting mask mandates on public transit as the U.S. Senate puts together a package for federal government funding. The amendment would ban mask mandates on any federally funded transit, including airlines, railways, and buses. Another Ohio Senator, Sherrod Brown, joined 9 other members of his party when he voted for Vance's proposal. Brown's vote also comes as the 2024 campaign for his seat intensifies, with at least 3 GOP candidates vying to be the nominee to challenge him. Coming up after the break, the search for a man wanted for killing 18 people in Maine. And tensions escalate as Israel prepares for a possible ground invasion.
Cold weather and rain is expected this upcoming weekend. Stay tuned to Newswatch to figure out how this will impact you.
It was about dancing.
That feeling of being completely free.
It was a cultural and musical phenomenon that pulsed through the nation's dance clubs. But not everyone was a fan. One wild night at a Chicago ballpark turned into one of the strangest early flashpoints in the culture wars.
One of the saddest sights I've ever seen in a ballpark in my life.
The War on Disco on American Experience.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
Mitch McConnell insisting there's no reason for him to step down.
The powerful senator.
There's nobody who's more focused on political conquest.
An uncertain future.
Concern is growing for the 81-year-old leader.
He's a leader in a party that he doesn't really know. How long do they want him to do that?
And his legacy.
That's the big accomplishment, getting more conservative judges on the federal courts.
He had the power to do it, and so he did.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
In a New York City nursing home, a group of Black and brown artists with disabilities fight COVID and the city to protect the lives of its residents.
Rona Corona, you have me confused and confined.
Fire through dry grass on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to our station. Donating is easy and it's tax deductible. Just call this toll-free number, schedule your free pickup, we'll tow it and give you a donation receipt. Can't donate a car? Spread the word by telling your friends or family and using the hashtag Cartober2023. Learn more by calling this toll-free number or visiting us online.
All 18 of the people who died in Maine's mass shooting have been identified. The victims range in age from 14 to 76, the medical examiner said. Their names have not yet been released. Several hundred miles of the state of Maine is still on lockdown as law enforcement searches for a mass shooting suspect, excuse me. Mike Valerio is in Lewiston with the latest.
With a mass shooting suspect at large, a lockdown is now lifted for nearly 700 square miles of Maine. Authorities, local, state, and federal, searching land, air, and water for the suspect, 40-year-old Robert Card.
A tremendous amount of law enforcement manpower, time, and effort is being utilized around the clock.
Federal investigators launched a, quote, dynamic entry search at the suspect's last known address and say they've seized a cell phone and a note left behind by the suspect.
Every minute that this goes on, we're more and more concerned, because what's the next thing that's going to happen?
Neighbors of the now wanted mass killing suspect say they are shocked.
He just didn't seem like that kind of individual. Like I said, people have problems, but you don't expect them to go off the deep end like that.
People are now speaking about their lost loved ones, like Leroy Walker, who says his son Joseph died a hero, trying to stop the shooter at the bar and grill he worked at with a butcher knife.
Pray for everybody. Pray for the people that passed away with my son. Pray to the Lord that this doesn't happen again in our community.
Reporting for Newswatch in Lewiston, Maine, I'm Mike Valerio.
The Israeli army says its ground forces are expanding their activity in the Gaza Strip as it moves closer to a full-on ground invasion. Internet and phone services are down in Gaza, largely cutting off its 2.3 million people from the outside world. Israel has amassed hundreds of thousands of troops along the Gaza border and is signaling they may begin a ground offensive aimed at uprooting the Hamas militant group. This is in response to Hamas's attacks earlier this month. Tensions in the Middle East are on the rise, and so is the death toll in Gaza. As the war between Israel and Hamas escalates, there's calls for Israel to allow aid into Gaza. The U.S., meanwhile, is boosting its presence in the region. John Lornick reports.
Roughly 900 American troops are being deployed to the Middle East to provide more protection for U.S. forces and interests overseas, according to the Pentagon.
I can confirm that they are not going to Israel and that, again, they are intended to support regional deterrence efforts and further bolster U.S. force protection capabilities.
The deployed forces are coming from Fort Bliss, Fort Sill, Fort Liberty, and Fort Cavazos.
We're going to continue to communicate with our partners on the importance of civilian safety, but we also recognize Israel's inherent right of self-defense as well.
Israeli military officials say they're preparing for a ground offensive against Hamas following the militant group's fatal attacks on Israel earlier this month.
We are continuing to support Israel's military. Security assistance continues to flow to them as needed almost on a daily basis.
This latest conflict between the Israelis and Palestinians has caused more than 1,400 deaths in Israel and nearly 6,000 in Gaza since the start of the war, according to officials from both sides. Some leaders of the European Union are calling for a humanitarian pause in the war so that much-needed aid can be brought into Gaza.
We're working with partners on the ground to see if we can accelerate and increase the flow of humanitarian assistance in.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The U.S. has carried out airstrikes in eastern Syria at 2 facilities linked to Iranian-backed militias. Pentagon officials say the strikes targeted weapons storage and ammunition storage facilities. These facilities were used by Iranian forces to help carry out attacks on U.S. forces over the last few days. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the strikes are separate from the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Officials say there have been at least 16 attacks across Iraq and Syria against U.S. forces since October 17th. Officials are unclear of any casualties. Tomorrow is...
Good evening. We are coming to the end of a beautiful week this week. Right now, temperatures are about 68 outside. We're also seeing some overcast skies. We had a little bit of rain this afternoon, so that's put a lot of moisture back into the air. So we're going to see that humidity start to climb up a little bit from the 30s, what we saw earlier this week, to now up into the 70s. So due to all that rain. Now, temperatures all along the East Coast and down to the south have been in the 70s for the past couple of days. We've seen a lot of nice high pressure, a lot of clear skies, but taking a look over to the west, right near Illinois, central U.S. area, we've got a bit of a cold line right along here. You can really see that temperature difference between a lot of this cooler air and a lot of the warm air that we're experiencing over here on the East Coast. That's really directly related to this cold front that's moving through. So a lot of this air behind this is uniform about temperature, so we're going to see a big drop as it starts to move through, whereas air over here is a little bit warmer. Now, part of the reason we're seeing some clouds and rain is we have this high pressure that's down to the south that's circulating in a clockwise rotation since we're in the northern hemisphere, and it's helping to pull some of this moisture and some of this nice warm weather down from the south into our areas. That's what we've been seeing throughout the week this week. But as we move into this weekend, this cold front's going to start to push in a little bit, and it's going to push right up against that warm air with all of that moisture into it, creating some rainy conditions later on this week. As far as tonight goes, we're expecting a warm night tonight, our warmest of the week. It's going to be an overnight low of 60 degrees with those mostly cloudy skies, but we will start to see some clouds let up as we move into this evening. Going on into tomorrow morning, however, that's when we'll start to see these clouds come back. So we'll see some partly cloudy skies throughout the night tonight, but around 9 a.m., that's when we see a lot of these bulk clouds start to move through, as well as some pockets of rain But by the afternoon, that rain will clear up, and then we'll be seeing that again in the very late evening, and that's where our 50% chance of showers come. So we're still going to see, we're still going to see that high of 70 degrees, so it's still going to be a bit of a warm night going on. But as far as the evening goes, we're going to see a low of 54 as well, so it's going to be a little bit on the chillier side compared to tonight. So tomorrow that cold front's going to move through, and we're going to see a bit of that rain start to push in as well. That's going to be in the evening hours once again, so there's a better look at that. That cold air is just pushing right on through. Tomorrow night, however, that's when we're going to see a lot of this rain really start to settle in, especially into Sunday. So this system is just still going to be on top of that high pressure, so that high pressure is really down to the south and still creating the sort of barrier that this system is going to be pushing right off of, creating that rain that we're going to see later on this weekend, and that's also going to roll into Monday as well. So what we can expect for this upcoming week is Sunday, that 80% chance of showers throughout the rest of the day. Still going to be in the mid 60s, mid to upper 60s as well, but by Monday, that's when we're going to see our fall temperatures really start to come back, with starting off the week with a rainy, cloudy Monday, 90% chance of showers, a high of 51 degrees, and we may even see some frost advisories going on into next week, since we're going to have a lot of moisture in the air, and our overnight temperature is going to drop down into the 20s looking Tuesday and Wednesday. So it's really going to be chilly, especially starting off into November. Back over to you.
Tomorrow is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. It's a time when anyone can anonymously drop off unused or expired medications at specified collection sites. Mandy Gaither has more on why the day is so important.
It's a public health crisis. The drug overdose epidemic in the U.S. led to more than 112,000 deaths being reported in a 12-month period ending in May, according to the latest estimates from the CDC. And the numbers keep rising.
Narcotics, opiates obviously are an obvious problem for people.
And unused prescription drugs that are thrown in the trash can be retrieved, abused, or illegally sold. One reason it's critical to properly dispose of them, and that's not all.
If there's stuff in your medicine cabinet, your teenage kids or other people can get into it, or other people that are having, maybe a mental health emergency and they decide to take everything in the cabinet, which I've seen a lot of as an emergency physician.
Stephen Maher with Mayo Clinic says flushing pills is also common, but it can have devastating environmental effects.
That can actually cause problems going through the, sewage treatment plant and can actually get into the groundwater, into the soil.
On Saturday, the Drug Enforcement Administration is hosting National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. People can drop off unused or expired medications with no questions asked for free and safe disposal. That includes prescription drugs, over-the-counter medications, ointments, patches, creams, inhalers, and vials, pet medications, and non-aerosol medicine.
Type in your zip code and address, and you can find several locations where they're willing to take it back, usually at like police departments or pharmacies.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Athens County Sheriff's Office and Walmart in Athens will be participating in the day's collections from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. In a press release, the department said that the proper disposal of unused drugs protects the environment and prevents accidental poisoning as well as overdose and abuse. When we come back, we sit down with the Post to talk about domestic violence resources. And for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
It's Elvis Presley!
Elvis was a very patriotic fellow. He was more sensitive now to understanding World War II since he wasn't in it and understanding about this story.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Straight into trouble. Way down deep, you're just a shadow as me. Had a change of heart. Had a change of heart. Sometimes the road is the best remedy. How many more miles to Yosemite?
Saturday at 10 on WOUB.
You remember when I was 5 years old, you changed my name. You were wrong. They wanted me.
It was the right thing to do.
You're a criminal, Mom!
Where are you trying to go?
Don't actually know. We were adopted.
Follow me.
My name's Beijing.
I'm your brother.
Welcome home, Beijing.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Spiritually, mentally, physically, just do your best. Never give up. Our people never gave up.
I'm building my own path and making a new path for other women.
When tribes are saying, let's get together, you do what you need to do for your people. We're more powerful together.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and according to the Domestic Violence Hotline, 20 million people are affected each year. Culture reporter Kaylin Pickett from The Post, Ohio University's independent student-run newspaper, is here with more about her article on local resources. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So how has the city of Athens given support to the community?
So the biggest resource we have here in Athens is My Sister's Place, which is a local shelter that is in the Hocking and Athens area. And it is a shelter and offers multiple resources for any domestic violence survivors, including legal resources and medical resources, as well as counseling. And they also offer a pet shelter for any survivors to host their animals called My Sister's Paws.
Okay. And how has Ohio University provided support for its students?
So our biggest resource here on campus is the Survivor Advocacy Program, and that is a just for the students here, and it offers legal, medical, and counseling services as well. You can access them through their website, where you can schedule an appointment. You can do walk-in appointments, or you can call their hotline if it is an emergency. And we also have our Women's Center, which is just another great resource for anyone.
And as we're nearing the end of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, why is it so important to be talking about this right now?
It's really just to bring attention to this topic. There are people who go through it that are just not comfortable talking about it, and it's not something people will admit to experiencing very often. So it's important just to let them know that they're not alone out there and that they have resources if they need them, and to just reach out if they need help.
Okay. And then if a person wants to find more information or wants to reach out to a supporting organization, where should they go look?
All three places that I listed, they have websites that you can go to. There's the Domestic Violence Hotline to find resources, and the best way is just to ask for help, and there's obviously you can call the police if it's in a real emergency.
Okay. Thank you, Kaylin. If you want to go read Kaylin's full story, go to thepost.athens.com and look under the Human Interest section. Next on Newswatch, how you can see the eclipse this weekend. That story's still ahead. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
is it, Billy?
That's the bloke who gave Mr. Sink up to the pamphlets.
Assassination attempt.
Assassination? He was caught up in the blast. They say he's injured.
Gentlemen, welcome to paradise. My employers, they would like an expansion. I can't have dirty money sloshing through my affairs. These are not people to say no to.
They're starting a manhunt. There's too many prying eyes here.
People would talk.
People always talk.
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
Remember? First impressions.
This is just the beginning to a change in fortunes.
I'm awake. I feel like I've opened my eyes. The world is changing.
I think we should take it to the next level.
I thought that was rather jolly. So much fun.
You make a good team. And what will you tell the child when they ask where their dad is?
There's a war. I'll tell them you're dead.
If we can find him, we'll get him.
I'm here to make sure justice gets done.
I really love you more than anything.
It's really loud.
Shall we?
Fortune favors the bold.
It feels more like the start of something than the end.
On Masterpiece.
Our British lads took the road to Benghazi with no more trouble than...
Welcome to the British Indian Army.
There's wounded coming in from Libya.
Every time I survive, they give me a more dangerous job.
It's nothing to do with choice or love, for that matter.
What if I were to recruit you to work for me?
To do what?
To fight, of course.
World on Fire on Masterpiece. Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
And finally tonight, Earth's about to take a bite out of the moon. That's what it will look like at least during a partial eclipse tomorrow. Around 3:30 p.m., the moon will reflect the Earth's shadow. The partial eclipse will end just before 5, that's according to EarthSky. Just before and after that time span, the moon will look dimmer as it reflects the planet's outer shadow. Stargazers in Europe, Africa, most of Asia, and Western Australia will be able to see the show by just looking up. Now let's throw it back over to Emily. Will we be able to see that eclipse tomorrow?
Thanks. Unfortunately, even with the eclipse over us, we will not really be able to see it. We're expecting a lot of cloudy skies. That's going to be starting tonight, and we're also going to see a bit of a warmer night tonight. Our warmest that we've seen in a while, our overnight low, is looking to be about 60 degrees. Now tomorrow, we've had a bit of a cold front developing over to the west, and that's finally moving over us towards the east. And I know I've kind of gotten used to the fall conditions, so the 75 degrees was a bit of a shock, but we're going to be dropping back down as that cold front passes. But that cold front will also be bringing in some precipitation with it. So right along that line, as it moves right up against this warm, kind of muggy air that we've been seeing, it's going to cause some rain to form, some clouds to form, and we'll be seeing some rain starting tomorrow, a very early morning tomorrow, about 8 a.m., 9 a.m. We might see some pockets of showers. Then by the afternoon, things will calm down a little bit. But by the very late evening, around 11 p.m., midnight, that's when we might see that 50% chance of showers. But we're still going to see some warm temperatures since that cold front's not going to pass until the late evening hours. So it's still going to be a high of 70 degrees. Still a very warm night if you have any Halloween festivities coming up. But Sunday, however, that is going to be a rainy day. Make sure you have your raincoat packed, your umbrella packed, wherever you may be going, since a lot of this rain is just going to be sitting over us for a while. And that system is moving up from the southwest up towards the northeast. So that means we're going to be seeing this rain for the next couple of days. You're going to see it on Sunday, see it on Monday, and that's also going to come with a drop in temperature. So we're going to see we're going to see next week start to cool down back down to the 40s. So it's really going to start feeling like fall.
So I'm really excited for these chillier temperatures kind of working their way in. It's felt too warm recently almost.
I totally agree with that. Like I just said, I'm really not liking the 70s, especially after I got my sweatshirt and got all my fall gear outside. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Grayson Wolf and Emily Dietz, I'm Parker Kapranica. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great weekend.